March Madness is a chance to cheer your team. There are Cinderella teams that come out of nowhere to capture our attention as we count games before our bracket is busted. There are also personal stories of the men and women who take the court to show their skills and tell their stories. The men's and women's tournaments are a great show of athletic prowess and a fascinating look into the finances that drive college athletics. Hi, I'm Margaret Meek, and this is March Madness is a Big Money Dance. The National Collegiate Athletic Association, or NCAA, is responsible for both the men's and women's championship basketball tournaments. These 3-week single-elimination competitions involve team members, coaching staff, cheer and dance squads, administrators, training staff, band members, and a lot of fans. The big dance is a time of year that costs and earns a great deal of money for some. The biggest winner is the NCAA itself. The media contracts alone brought the NCAA $945 million for the 2023 men's tournament. Counting the media contracts, the NCAA earned more than $1.25 billion in 2023. Money comes in from gate receipts, media contracts, sponsorships, and more. In fact, this tournament annually contributes 80% of the NCAA's annual budget. Then for the men's competition, there are payouts to the athletic conferences to which the schools are members. The tournament is broken up into units. The units somewhat equate to the number of games played. In 2023, the units were worth about $2 million each. The Southeastern Conference, or SEC, had teams earning 17 units. The conference will receive $34 million in total for that performance paid out over the next 6 years. In 2023, the NCAA's total payout to conferences and independent schools was less than half as much as was paid to the NCAA in media contracts. The way in which the conferences split the money is contained in their conference agreements, so teams who did not make the big dance can profit from the tournament, depending on the contract signed by each school when they join the conference. Independent schools or smaller conferences will see more return on their time in the tourney because they don't have to split the money with as many schools. Interestingly, for 2024, with all the conference realignment, schools may never see a dime from the units they earned. For example, all of the Pac-12 teams that are playing in the tournament will not be allowed to move their payments to their new conferences. The money they helped earn will be paid to the Pac-12 over the next 6 years. Washington State and Oregon State will be the only remaining members of the Pac-12 as of the next school year. The conference will pay out to these 2 schools alone through the conference apparatus, at least until other schools are added to the Pac-12. Please note that the NCAA does not gain funding from the college football championships at any level. Basketball is how they fund their operation year to year. With all that said about the men's tournament, you need to understand that there is an entirely different system on the women's side of March Madness. The media contract for the women's tournament with ESPN is tied together with 39 other sports championships. For the total package, the NCAA will receive $920 million over 8 years, beginning in 2024. $115 million is for the women's big dance. That is up significantly from 2023, when the women's media contract brought in $42 million. This is a sign that women's sports, specifically women's basketball, are becoming much more popular and gaining viewership. We see you, Angel and Caitlin. Thank you for your efforts. The most significant difference between the men's and women's tournament is that the NCAA does not pay the women's conferences and their schools for their participation. There are no units, no payment per unit, no payment at all. For those of you thinking, but what about Title IX? The NCAA is not bound by Title IX provisions, as it is not technically an educational institution and it receives no federal funding. So while there are ongoing discussions and committee propositions designed to engineer a better payout for women's tournament, as of right now, there are no payments for earning a spot in the women's big dance. However, some schools play the first 2 rounds on their college campus instead of at a tournament host site. Those schools benefit from home games and the resulting boost in their local economies. March Madness consists of a lot of money and attracts a lot of attention to schools and individuals. If they perform well, players can find new name, image, and likeness or NIL deals. Some players get to say they contributed to an unexpected win and will dine out free on their performance for decades after they graduate. Coaches can gain new contract extensions or keep their jobs if their teams perform well. Fans, cheer squad members, or band members can achieve moments of fame. Sometimes the best stories come from sharing the experience with others. For example, in 2024, a few schools could not get their bands to some of the team's games. Yale, for instance, during the first round games. So the Idaho band learned the Yale fight song and played in support of Yale during their first round underdog win. They got to attend the game and received Yale t-shirts for their work. The money involved in the big dance doesn't just revolve around athletic participation. For example, in 2023, 68 million Americans wagered more than $15 billion during the tournaments. There are other bracket competitions in offices, with friends, and through sponsors who offer money to the individual with perfect picks throughout their bracket. There is also the cost of lost productivities as individuals are drawn to watch the games. Sometimes this results in missed workdays, especially the first few days of the two tournaments, when more than 70 games are broadcast. March Madness is just one example of the extraordinary money involved in college sports. Money for the NCAA, conferences, schools, and individuals. However, the big dances are just one example of how funds are earned, distributed, and accounted for throughout the 1,200 schools that are NCAA members. Add football, which brings in even more money, and then divide by the number of other teams and competitions at each school, and the figures are staggering. As a student at one of these schools, are you aware of the impact of the athletic department, the NCAA, and all aspects of the sporting world on your tuition and fees? If not, you may be surprised. For all the fun of March Madness, money decisions and practices may have even a bigger impact than the Cinderella team that takes it all. If you found this information useful, click the like button or subscribe. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below.